Intro.
Where do we start?
That it's rainy today.
What? Start talking about the weather?
Yeah.
So fucking boring. Oh my god.
And go.
Okay. So today we're gonna talk about, I guess, some of our experiences with the differences.
It's rainy today.
Oh my god. Jesus.
It doesn't matter. The only person who is watching is my mom. So.
Yeah, true.
Hi, Mom.
Hi. But yeah, we want to talk about the differences in our experiences between sort of like it's animation / game industry in Canada specifically. You work with some people outside of the States. Right?
Oh yeah, I forgot I did that.
So a little bit of that, and then Europe. So kind of mainly your experience working in Europe. I mean, me more living because I work remote for a Canadian company, but yeah, kind of maybe some of the differences in kind of expectation and work culture. Yeah. Specifically for animation and I guess layout.
Yeah, layout animation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've been working at this point for like almost a year. Not like consecutively, but overall, almost for a year in Finland. So obviously, I'm only talking about Finnish animation industry, and I worked a bit in Canada, but I don't know if Canada would be the same because it's kind of I was doing it not in person but remote.
Yeah, I mean,
So
but you can talk about that too.
Yeah, I feel like it's a different it's a different dynamic.
Yeah.
But from just my main observation, what's the biggest difference? I think it's like a life kind of work balance thing. That the Canadians that just don't have that idea.
I feel like that's the cultural balance,
Yeah.
right? Like the cultural sort of differences.
Yeah, I feel like it's in general. Like even when we came back from Portugal, that time. I mean, Portugal is a whole different level, like of relaxation and slow pace of living. But at the same time, just watching people pace and how fast they're trying to do things in North America is just off the charts. Is just different. They're like so fast. I was just like, I remember coming from Portugal, and my first experience was like we were landed in Montreal, and I saw the guy who was just kind of running somewhere and looking super busy and trying to stuff as much food as possible in his mouth at the same time. And for some reason it's like, because for me on one hand it's normal because it's like I've done it before.
Where we come from, yeah.
But at the same time, coming after different culture, I was like, holy fuck, that's not normal. That's weird.
That's so
like,
weird.
why wouldn't you just sit down and try to eat?
Yeah, and just enjoy and relax.
Yeah, but it's like just those small things that you like. But I thought maybe it's just because Portugal. Maybe because Portuguese lifestyle is much slower.
Yeah, and I feel like food too is a different thing. At least for because my family's Portuguese or part of it. So I feel like food has a kind of like it's like you sit down, you eat with the family, like it's like a thing that you do, right? And coming from that culture, that's like it's not a sacred time. It's not like that exaggeration because there's obviously people who are busy too in Portugal, running around eating. Yeah. But like it's more like you sit and you eat and you relax. Like with a wine.
Yeah, but but it's like in Finland maybe specifically because of the amount of people or like. I don't know. I've never seen a person just like stuffing their face and running somewhere.
Actually, yeah, it's true. It's not like you don't see people running. Or like I feel like I always used to see like between Toronto, I used to live in Kingston as well in Canada, but people would be like skateboarding with a coffee and a laptop at the same time, like stuff like that.
Yeah,
that just doesn't exist here, at least. I've never seen.
I feel like the desire for productivity and like intensity of how much your output is supposed to be, like quote unquote, is so much higher and so much more intense.
I think it's more intense in Canada.
It's hard to describe. It's like energy level.
Yeah,
it's like once you like go from one location to another and like one city to another, but that energy just like increases. Like I remember like when we landed in Toronto, I think after Finland after working Gilbag, and we just right away just like the energy of the city, like the
call it
homeless people, crackheads on the street, you know.
Crackhead energy.
Yeah, because in Finland there's like you never see like a crackheads on the streets.
No,
and anything. So
even
it's
in
like
the major city.
in a major city, like in Helsinki, when we landed, we were like, oh, this is like a bad area, don't go there.
Oh, yeah.
Sornainen.
Yeah, Sornainen.
And we like.
Like, I was pretty
so
chill.
Nice.
yeah, it's pretty chill.
So yeah, they just like, and right away I feel like that type of like energy or vibe right away influence the type of work ethic, not work ethic, sorry, like the work environment that you find yourself in.
Yeah, and also just to like cultural dynamic with even in that work environment. So that sounds pretty general, but in the sense that like, so like for example, when you worked at Gigabug, and I wasn't working there at the time, I was just kind of like would go to the parties and stuff. But talking to everybody there, it's interesting because everybody comes from came at the time from a different culture. So like pretty extreme places. So South America, there's also Brazil, there was Americans.
No,
like,
there was not American. I was the only
but there was
North American.
sorry, she was technically Mexican, but she lived in Chicago.
Oh, yes. Okay. So basically from Mexico, but there was the Mexican that lived in America and Canada as well.
Yeah. So sort of American, and then you also had like German, Belgian, and then you had like yourself Canadians, Sweden,
East Europeans.
So some living in Sweden.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh yeah, East Europeans.
Yeah. Netherlands.
And there was a British, right? There was
a bunch of British.
Yeah, UK. So really, kind of like you have a nice mix of very different cultures.
Brazil, Spain, like a lot of Brazilians.
Yeah. But then, like, being kind of sent to, like, Finnish culture and everybody under this umbrella of Finnish culture, the work environment changed, at least, again, from the outside, from what I experienced, changed a lot. Like, everybody, I mean, there's this sort of respect, at least here in Finland, for, like, personal time versus work time. Like, it's very sharp in the sense that, okay, people are, like,
not expected to... Sorry, is it raining?
Yeah, it's raining.
Oh, the sound.
On a tangent,
I think we gotta go louder. Maybe.
Oh my gosh, it's still like
just like working. How does it work in Europe like this?
I'm sorry. Yeah. But so there's sort of like this respect for like, okay, let's say you start at 9 and you end at 5, and that's it. You're not expected to work past that time. In fact, it's quite the opposite. It's like if you're working past 5, that's like kind of like, what are you doing, buddy? You're not getting paid. Like, get out of here.
Yeah, because right away the expectation was like between 10 and 4, you're supposed to be available.
Yeah, see, that's crazy. 10 and 4.
Yeah, 10 and 4 you're available, and then like amount of hours you work is up to you.
Yeah.
Because it's like the whole flexi time idea in Finland, where you like the expectation is that you're gonna work this amount of hours in a week.
Yeah.
How you gonna achieve those hours is up to you.
Right.
Like because you could like show up 5 hours this today and do 8 hours in the next day. Like it depends. Like for example, for the company right now I'm working on pajama films, it's like expectation that you work 7 hours and 15 minutes is really weird. It's like really specific, because then you have like 30 minutes for lunch and 15 minutes for a coffee break somewhere in between. So it's like really weird times, and then you're like, okay, and if you go over time, then you're gonna start accumulating more hours, which they like don't like that you accumulate those hours, because otherwise it's like they're not gonna pay you out those hours.
Yeah, so you have to take the days off.
So you have to take those hours off. So you have to like eventually somewhere get rid of those hours by like not showing up to work.
Yeah.
So the weird idea of structuring your hours and your it's really coming down.
Yeah, is the audio gonna be?
Is that it?
Probably.
I mean, we'll find out.
Yeah. Whoops.
Yeah. Mom, let me know. Yeah, but like, so that idea of like those hours kind of like is very in a weird way is like locked in. So this is the amount of hours you're supposed to work.
Yeah.
Don't work more.
Yeah.
And it's like it's pretty strict. Like don't fucking work more. Yeah, and it's like it was funny because in my company that right now I work on, there's a couple of Canadians, and the first like couple of months I had a hard time adjusting to as well. Like I was in Gigglebug, and like they just like it's like this North American kind of mentality where you just come in and if there's work, you gotta fucking finish
Work
it,
it,
and then
yeah.
you're gonna work until the work is done. Overtime, not overtime, doesn't matter. Just you gotta pull it through and just finish it. And here it's like more of idea that within this amount of hours, work has to be done. But if it's not done, you have to figure out why it's not done, and if there's any kind of problems with production or something like this. So it's really weird in the sense that it's like there's really strict ideas between like work and life. And and everyone's always like, why are you working more? Even like one of my colleagues at work was like asking about you working overtime all the time. And she's like, is she getting paid at least? And I'm like, no. Like she works more because she needs to finish like her task. She's not getting paid more for any of those. And she was like, and she's French, so but she worked quite a bit in here. But the idea of like why? Like I don't understand.
It doesn't even register. Like why would somebody do that? Like,
exactly. Well, why would you like work? Because you're getting paid the same amount of money. Like why are you working for free basically? Like it's not. Aren't you a professional who is supposed to get paid for your work? And you're like, oh, I guess I am. Like I don't know. It's like it's so that drastic change that right away comes to mind is that the very kind of strong division between work and life, where it's like this is your work hours, and then please leave, do your life outside.
Have a life, Whereas in North America, or at least in Canada, it's way more like ingrained together, like at least, okay, again, we're specifically talking about animation, entertainment, art, because we really don't have that much experience outside of that.
Yeah, exactly.
And because it's such a small, it's a tiny world, really. Like if you just look at in capital, like how much actually that's business sector makes, it's tiny.
Minuscule.
It's so minuscule. Meaning that even the pool of people in that is even smaller. Right?
Exactly. Like I like the idea of like looking at the size of industry in terms of like dollars or like just money.
It is, because you can see kind of how you situate yourself. And for me, like he's more of the money guy. I like money always like stresses me the fuck out, and I'm like so bad at numbers, and it's like a whole thing. So, but I still can. I feel like being able to see how the industry you work in fits into a bigger picture of the economy is really interesting, because it will kind of help. Not explain necessarily, but give you a picture of like why, like for example, it's so tough in animation to find a job. Like it is in most industries, especially now. But like, but why it's so tough and why people are grinding so much, and like why, for example, in North America, like you have this like there's no boundary, or there's less boundary between work-life balance, because people like after they finish work they go and they have a side hustle, or they're working on their portfolio, or they're working on their skills. So it's just like their whole life is animation, or their whole life is drawing, and the reason why they're grinding is because they want to get a spot and get a job, because it's such a small pool.
Exactly, right? Because it's like if you just how much money is there out there in this industry to go around to pay people, right? And the pool is pretty tiny. Like those even games that you work in, it's like if you look sector by sector, like industry by industry, games are like 4 or 3 times bigger than animation. Like it's ridiculous how much bigger like gaming as an industry. Like so much money floating around to pay people and get those jobs and amount of money. So how many it relates to how many projects out there, how many people can be hired and so forth. So animation is like minuscule, minuscule. And like honestly, actually, I think the industry that it was involved that 3 times smaller than gaming is film and animation. So it's not even animation. So like animation as a sector even smaller. Because we're not even talking like a live action. So it's a tiny industry. Especially here in Finland, you can really feel it, because it's
here,
like
there's only 2.
There's literally 2 studios that produce animation in Finland, and I've already worked at both of them.
But that's specifically for television, like TV series production. I believe there are actually quite a few more like advertising. There's got to be.
Oh no, advertising. Actually, good question. I feel like but advertising, I think, is a whole different sector.
Different sphere. I think marketing, advertising.
Yeah, marketing, advertising is. I don't think in this case it's specifically for entertainment, like entertainment, TV, and film animation. As an entertainment industry, not like a specific advertising industry. I think advertisement industry is like a separate category.
I think so.
Where I was going? So based on how much money flows, that's why there's so much intensity in this industry. So I feel like and yes, we don't know about other industries when it relates to like Finnish and like European / like what's the difference. But I feel like it's this industry like it showcased one of the most intensity, because these people, like there's so many people that want to get into the industry, and there's like and so little like work space, right?
So also too, I feel like there's a type of people who want to get into this industry, like we're artists for the most part. I feel like obviously there's many different jobs within animation that aren't art, like including like actually producing art. But again, we're just speaking from our personal experience. We're artists who make art and want to get paid for that, for that specific skill set. So also the people who want to get in it, we're emotional people, right? Like we're like divas. We're like, you know, we like want to make things from our soul and put it out there and showcase our skills. So I feel like that's also part of it, because like that intensity anyway, right? Because you're not only like, at least from my perspective, is like you're not only selling, at least this is what it feels like your skill of just technical drawing, but you're selling your artistic soul, you know? Exactly. So all this mixed up together, right? All this intensity, I think, comes from that sort of
exactly
place.
And so I feel like because of that, like that shows in how much like that it's really easy to kind of take advantage of artists in a weird way. Like because you like they're gonna work on this shit if you don't pay them. Like,
it's true though.
So it's like when it comes down to industry, I feel like in North America, especially in North America, where like this hustle culture, this like kind of like on 24/7.
You gotta be like, it's like in all sectors of your life, you gotta be 110%. You gotta be grinding in your portfolio, like again, specifically portfolio art. You gotta be grinding in your physical fitness. Dude, if you don't have a bebopper body, like go fuck yourself. You gotta be grinding your finances.
I don't know about bebopper body.
Not bebopper, but like
come on.
I don't know.
We'll barely get up off the
but that's the okay, we could go into many different avenues here, but that's like the double-edged sword. Is like the kind of harsh thing about artists is like, if you like, this is the thing you put everything into, and if you start failing in this thing, you're fucked. And most of us fail in this thing. We fail in this thing. And so I feel like that's why, like, when you don't get the job, when you don't, I don't know, like, you're not successful, your portfolio doesn't make it, like, you feel like shit because you've just poured everything you have. You don't have a bebopper body. Your finances are fucked. You have no personal relationships because all your time is spent in your portfolio, and that fucking fails. And because that's just a chance thing. That's just like luck mixed with, you know, effort, right? So, and that fails, and then now you're fucking depressed. And that's most of us, I think, most of the time. Like, in terms of a cycle. I'm not saying it's like permanent.
No.
It's always fluctuating, but I feel like that's like a a mix.
No, 100%. That's why we try so hard, and then like the industry constantly like kind of okay, you're delivering so much, like how come, like how much more we can get from you.
Yeah, of course.
And that's why it's like, that's what I was kind of talking about, is that in combination with like hustle culture of North America, probably maybe Asia is the same way. It's like this like constantly like producing, and that's why it's constantly kind of intermixes and creates like situations where like there's no such thing as work-life balance, because everything is work.
Everything is work.
Everything is like you have to be doing shit after work, during work, and if there's more work at work, you do that shit too. So but and like so coming here, especially into Finland and working here, that because I feel like it's really hard for them, to be honest, to because animation kind of does demand this insane amount of work and insane amount of time to produce anything. And
I feel like too, it's at the quality that they're expecting it.
Exactly.
Right? Because there's sort of like, for this project in particular, there's like a sort of like threshold that has been set because it's a previous IP, so there's something that's already kind of set in stone. It has to be this way. It has to match this quality.
Yeah.
So, but it's always like this. It's like old school Disney quality animation at the budget of like Peppa Pig, you know?
No, exactly. But like that's what I'm saying. It's a struggle here in Finland as well too, because it's quite a young industry here in Finland.
Yeah, that's true.
So they trying to match the quality, right? But at the same time keeping those work-life balance standards that like Finnish people like come to expect.
Yeah.
Or Europeans as well. I feel like in general, it just I wouldn't say
European. Yeah, that's a big generalization. We don't know.
Depends on which country, I guess.
It definitely depends on country. It could have been even studio.
Yeah, but at the same time, I'm just comparing like let's say France. I don't know about UK, but like those people have like at least a month of vacation. Like let's not joke about this shit. It's not the same when it comes down to North America. What's vacation? You vacation when you don't have a job.
Yeah, that's how it works. In Canada.
In Canada, in North America, you like out of job. This is your vacation.
This is your vacation. Yeah.
So in here, people like have like 3-4 weeks like automatically like as part of your vacation. Like here, I feel like in this studio particularly, like if for every month I get like 2 days or 1.5 day or something like this days of vacation.
Yeah.
So within like 4 months, I have like almost a week.
Which is crazy.
Like no, more than a week. Yeah. 4 months, you get a week of vacation, it doesn't matter if you're a contractor. You just like that's what you get.
Yeah.
Which is wild to me. Like this,
that doesn't happen.
Because usually contracts is just like you get a contract, you get that money,
and then
goodbye.
Yeah, there's no vacation, there's no benefits, vacation? There's nothing that contractors don't work that way.
It's wild because like unless I don't know something, I don't know. Maybe there's some benefits. I just,
maybe.
No. Like even in my contract, it's just like please work this amount. No. There's not even please work this amount. It's more like this amount. We're paying you for an hour, and you're approximately gonna work 40 hours. But wink, wink. We don't know. Like it could be plus, could be minus. We don't know. It depends how production goes. Yeah, and here it's like this is amount of hours that you get. For one, this amount of hours you're supposed to be working. Don't work more. This is amount and then this amount of vacation you're gonna get for each month that you work.
It's a lot more like organized and clear.
Yeah, it's like I feel like there's so many maybe because of regulations.
Probably.
Yeah, and then it's like the whole thing where like they cannot fire you unless there's a 1 month notice. Stuff like this. I'm like, dude, it's like there's so many stories in North America where you just like show up to the door. To show up to work at your studio, and studio's closed.
The studio's just closed down, and you're like, what?
Yeah, and it's wild because especially like in Gigglebug, it was really interesting process of seeing how it works with all the layoffs because it's like because it was like shit hitting the fan and like all the Warner Brothers canceled a bunch of projects, including Tom and Jerry. That's one of the bigger projects that Gigglebug was working. So they had like tons of people working on that shit, and I had to like figure that shit out, and then and I couldn't like just fire everybody just because Warner Brothers stopped because Warner Brothers was like, okay, fuck it, we're abandoning this project, But Gigglebug couldn't just be like, okay, goodbye, people.
You're fired.
You're fired. So they had to like spend the money out of their own pocket to like get them at least for a month or something.
Yeah, onto something else.
Yeah, and like or for a month just like drawing idea or like they were doing like a pitch idea or something or working on like
because you can
so because they cannot just let them go.
They can't just let people go.
Yeah, so they had to like pay them certain amount of money for a certain amount of time, regardless, even though they like it wasn't
their budget left.
Exactly, because it wasn't up because of them. It's just Warner Brothers just pulled out, right? So and I still had to like figure out how to have enough reserves to pay all those people to stay for at least a month before they were actually like let them go. But even then, they were trying to like move people around to different productions.
And still keep them on.
To keep them on. So I feel like that's the biggest difference where it's like there's like first of all with each contract you get like a health insurance, which is weird.
That's weird for contractors.
And then there's like time, and then there's like the vacation, and then there's like the whole thing where they can fire you. There's so much like socialist nice regulations. That it's like really seems confusing.
Yeah.
So I feel at this point I'm too soft to go back to North
To
American
go back to
grind.
North America, yeah. Well, there's always a flip side to that, like in the sense that there's a lot of it's not just like it's all rainbow and roses up here. You pay a lot of taxes when you're as a contractor for Finland, right?
Yeah, well, the Finnish taxes are they're pretty steep.
Pretty steep, yeah. So
Yeah.
just to give people like an insight, right? Like
Yeah.
it's not just like you come here and you get free health insurance. No, there you do have to pay a higher tax and stuff like that. But it's I don't know.
I think that's comparable to Canada, honestly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Maybe, actually, it was like 20.
Yeah, like it's pretty comparable, honestly, to Canada, the taxation. That's what's weird is Canada.
Okay,
like it's
yeah,
comparable
that's crazy.
taxation, but I'm like in Canada you don't get shit.
Yeah.
But I mean, like you
you
still
still
get
get-
healthcare,
you
right?
still
But
have
for me,
healthcare,
as
yeah.
being a foreigner coming into this country to work,
Yeah.
and I still automatically get like the work healthcare.
Yeah.
I mean, the quality of this healthcare is questionable because I've heard of of some of my coworkers back in Gigglebug when they got sick. I don't know, it could be COVID or something they got sick with. They went to the to the doctor and doctor was like, okay, cool. I mean, you know, you're good. Just just like
Just take an Advil.
take it out. I'm like, damn, savage Finnish people are just like, you die, bro.
I feel like that's the way, man.
Yeah.
That's like the stoic Nordic sort of, stereotype. It's just like, walk into the forest.
Yeah, he dies. Yeah, but
That's funny.
but regardless, maybe in this particular situation didn't work out. But like
Yeah,
overall,
yeah.
the fact that you do have health insurance
is awesome.
is amazing,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So yeah, even with taxes, there's like all this shit with taxes where you have to like, oh, it's the whole different shit where I have to like figure out paying taxes in Canada and Finland at the same time because I work for Finland. So Finnish people take away these taxes, but Canada cannot take away taxes from these earnings, but they gonna increase the amount of like stuff they take from Canadian earnings. It's like
It's a whole thing. But I
It's a
feel
whole
like
thing.
any country you work for, it's gonna be the same.
No, of
They're
course.
gonna all have their own taxation.
No,
laws.
it's like I feel like at least Finland is pretty organized with
Yeah,
their
and really
taxation.
responsive. That's the nice thing about the bureaucracy. Bureaucracy.
Bureaucracy.
Bureaucracy.
Yeah.
Bureaucracy here, at least, like, is so many. Because, like, obviously, when you come to a new country, you need to get your visas in order. You need to get your residence permits, all this stuff. But for Finland, particularly, it's so organized. Everything was like, if you think about the context, it was pretty fast.
Yeah.
Right, like you just come into work, and within a couple weeks, I think after applying, we had like residence cards, stuff like that. So,
I have no idea, for example, how easy that would be for foreigners to come into Canada to work.
Yeah, exactly.
So I have no idea how this process looks like, but from what I don't see not that many foreigners coming to Canada to work. So I don't know. I don't know how easy.
Well,
it is,
we know students, like, because when we were obviously in school, a lot of
student visas
is different.
So they actually got education in Canada, and then
and there's a whole process in order to segue these people in, like, because that's why they do it, right? They want people in the workforce within the Canadian industry.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's why they bring them to school. So it's easier.
Overall, like in Canada, there's still more jobs than I feel like Finland, obviously.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Even it could be like Canada is enough. It's like same amount of jobs in animation industry as in the whole of Europe, let's say. Because even though in France it's quite a bit, I still feel like the Canada just still like
there's such a concentration, and like with the relationship they have with the States, because most of the productions, most of the money probably comes from the States, like like LA, Hollywood, all that stuff. So, and because Canada is so close, they ship it out to
exactly, and
service studios.
Basically service studio, and also Gigglebug that I want to work for. It's also a service studio
But for European productions, right?
No, it was mostly Americans.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
Because they work on Dalmatian, on Tom and Jerry, Batman.
Oh yeah.
The Bunnies. All of this was Bunny League was all American studios. Yeah, and I feel like that's what Americans do: the design, storyboarding, and like the main pre-production is done in America, and then they ship everything to like cheaper places.
Yeah.
It's like Canada, Europe. Depending on the like any type of tax breaks and benefits and like quality of the work, they would ship it around the world. That's kind of the move right now. That's from what I understand to be happening.
In most industries actually, I feel like.
So I have no idea how this process works out. I just know that Finland for some reason took me in to actually work here. But and overall it's like the experience of work-life environment is like it's really strange. Because like I worked in a couple of products. It's just hard to explain how it's like in Canada you just work until you're done.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. It's like, I mean, sometimes it's good because sometimes it's like a deep lows where you just like do nothing. And it's like, oh, I've done all my work, so I'm just like staring at the ceiling.
Scroll.
But at the same time, sometimes you just work nonstop. How's your experience like with work? Because you're working for Toronto game company.
I mean, they're a bit different because they're so some things to also think about is like the kind of company. So Gigabug and Pajama Films are slightly bigger than the company I work at. Mine's really indie, like tiny. We're like a handful of people.
Gigabug definitely.
Gigabug is like 200. Exactly. So I feel like that always changes sort of the work dynamic and work culture. Because I feel like our kind of work culture, if I were to sum it up, is more like almost game jammy in a sense. Like obviously it's a professional workplace, but it more has this like culture of like, okay, we're a bunch of people who like to make cool shit and we really want to push each other to make something awesome together. So, and it's a bit of like I think most people do overtime, and it's not paid, but there's this sort of like I don't know, that could be a good and a bad thing. I'm like notoriously bad for doing overtime all the time because I'm a perfectionist and I'm like, I want to like do the best job ever, especially usually when I start a contract, like I'm the worst, like it's so bad, and I get obsessive and then I get depressed because I'm like, fuck, my whole life is just this and I have nothing else, right? But the interesting, we can talk about this in another video, but like the interesting process of that has been like finding that balance for me, especially now being like really remote in the sense of like being across the world. So I guess to talk about the work culture is like, the way it's kind of, I started at this company was like just grinding all the time, and because I was new and I was still pretty green and pretty fresh in games in general, like this is technically like my first game job, I guess, like working like within like doing like level design, doing 3D art, like, and it's kind of again, it's indie, so we do pretty much everything, but like actually making and shipping a game, I had never done it before. So I feel like I was like very anxious and just very obsessive and always doing overtime because you kind of I want to prove myself. I want to like say like show that I can do awesome things, and at the same token, like I wanted to learn. Like I'm very eager to.
That's
like,
what I feel like is really interesting, because I feel like in dynamic of the culture where it's like, okay, stop, don't work anymore. Like you slowly become like, I'm a professional. This is like kind of thing that I do for work, and like of course I drove for myself outside, but you don't have this like constant like drive and this like desire to improve. Like maybe it's also depends person to person, obviously, but I feel like when there's, especially like in your company, there's so much like always like kind of like you constantly struggling, figuring out, like pushing yourself, that this like constantly creates like this environment for constant like learning and like always. Constant like desire to be better, and like there's people improving around you so fast, and you like you want that too as well, so that creates like, it's kind of like a pressure cooker in a sense, like of just being like constantly driven to be better and improve and get more money, get more opportunities, more like stuff. But at the same time, it's like the benefits of this is that you learn so much more.
You learn so much, like it's crazy. Like, so that's why I'm not talking about it negatively in the sense that like, because we do a lot of overtime, and we do get like sometimes fucking stressed out, but it's kind of like self-induced in a way, right? Because I mean, I would say it's because we are so driven, we are like really want to push ourselves, and we all come from like slightly different backgrounds. No one actually was, well, maybe only the director was in games previously, but everyone else sort of came from illustration, and so they're all kind of new to games, and so there's obviously a lot of learning involved, just technical stuff, but then also including the artistic drive, right, like that passion and stuff. So
that's what kind of noticed. It's like, especially when there's so many people want the same thing, and everyone's so driven. I feel like that energy I've never like met exactly here. Because here it's everyone is like kind of like, it's weird because here they do work, and then they do their own stuff.
It's like
it's a separate thing, right? And it's like, and it's more relaxed, so it's like there's casualness to it, like they all, I don't understand how they become like such a good draftsmen at the same time, because here people also are amazing at their craft.
So crazy.
Like goddamn, like some French people are just like ridiculous. And but at the same time there's like this kind of casualness and
relaxed I feel like is a good way to put it.
Thing,
attitude,
which I don't understand, because I'm kind of like, I like this energy of like kind of crackhead being like, yes, I want to be like better, I want to be best.
I'm so envious of or jealous of like people who are like relaxed but they're so crazy talented. They're just like relaxed and they're just drawing, you're like, oh, it's fine, everything's gonna be fine, and then they just like pull out this giant like beautiful layout or background that's like amazing or whatever whatever it is, and you're like, what? Like, you're amazing, how are you not spending like every 2 seconds?
But I feel like also at the same time some of the people who are like, who just content with just doing this, the work, and then outside of work they do like pretty much nothing. They kind of artistically, and so they kind of like stagnate in a weird way. They just kind of end up being very proficient at doing their job.
I see.
And being within this world. But the people who like have a little bit of that, even more relaxed in North America, but still that kind of like inkling of like, I want to get better, are the ones who actually progress and become like much more better. That makes sense.
I feel like that's every
industry. Exactly. Right? So it's in every industry, but I feel like in North America, it's almost expectation from everybody that you have to like constantly grind to improve, because like monetary survival is like so crucially important. Because here it's like monetary survival is like you gonna earn like medium amount. It's like, but you're gonna be okay.
Because of the social system.
Because of the social system, because of the prices on like housing, I don't know, like, because housing here is like
affordable,
not comparable to Canada.
Obviously,
so like there is this expectation that you're still going to be okay.
Be all right,
But in Canada, I feel like this whole kind of drive is because almost out of desperation of being like panicking, because otherwise you're fucked. You know, like just the fact that you chose this industry which is pays nothing, and you kind of have to constantly grind on constantly trying to figure the ways to get better, to find a niche, to find like more opportunities, money, and like just create better quality stuff in order to compete. It's exhausting on one hand, but at the same time, in that crazy rush for that improvement and finding ways to get more money as an artist, you kind of sometimes people create amazing things. You know?
Absolutely. I can definitely say, even like the short time that I've been at the studio, it's like I went basically from not knowing anything to now being able to make games. Obviously to not make games, but like level art and like there's just, it's so much, right? It's so much.
Honestly, so watching your improvement from like when you started in the company to now, like for you it's like maybe not as noticeable because you're in the process, but for me there's just the stuff that you know how to do. Like what, like, okay, if you break it down like this, like before we started, I understood what you're talking about. Now I have no fucking clue what you're talking about. Like, it's like, optimization. So I'm like, man, it's like your improvement is like incredible. And to a certain degree, I don't know, like, because my improvement might be better.
It definitely is. Like, we were just talking about this today. When you're looking back at your portfolio.
Yeah.
Then that's a great barometer, by the way. People, take a year look at the portfolio, like the first pieces that you put on it, you know, and then just like be like, ew.
No, but like for me it was funny today because it's like I for the first time I was looking at my portfolio. I was like, oh my god, this is horrible.
Yeah.
Because you know, like you make like your best work. You're like, shit, this is cool, and you like live with this assumption that what you made is amazing, and just you cannot top it. And once and it's like so exciting actually, because once you actually see that it's garbage, it means you actually at least improved your eye or something to notice that it's garbage. So yeah, it's actually exciting, very exciting moment for me to realizing that everything I've done before is total shit. But so yeah, I feel like in that sense, like my improvement comes, but I feel like after working like in Finland, because there's such a like stop, don't work kind of mentality. I feel like my improvement comes slower.
I feel like too, like because you gotta also understand what improvement means for you. Like, what's your barometer there in the sense of like, are you talking about just technical draftsmanship? Like or are you, because like the interesting thing about art is obviously it's subjective, but like improvement in art can also come from experience, right? So like, for example, like when you travel and everything, and then all of a sudden you come back to your house back in Toronto, you're like, fuck, like I just feel so like full of like shit to like produce, right? Like I feel like so inspired, and I know that sounds so cheesy, it's like so like, you know, cliche that you need to go see things and be inspired to make things, but there is something there when you sort of fill yourself up with world experiences, or just like the shock of going into a different culture. Like that is something that helps you produce art in a way, or
but you see, like we'll find out later on if it's actually conducive to our artistic endeavors, because right now when you're facing that shock of different culture, you just trying to figure this shit out.
In it,
there's nothing to do with art. It's just like, how do I actually pay taxes here? Like, oh my god, it's like all the foods that I have to go with Google go translate and just be like, what is that?
Definitely.
So it's like in that sense, I don't know, like if it's to do with artistic growth or it's just you living your lifestyle.
I mean, definitely. It's like that kind of shit's like intermingled, like living your life and then artistic growth. I feel like it's just you're growing as a person. So that's like hand in hand, right? But yeah. So I don't know if you're like artistic growth could. You have to decide, like, I guess what that means for you. Like, is that specifically like technical draftsmanship? Is that career sort of?
I know,
right?
Like, but for me, it's like elusive everything. You know, it's like when it's like a feeling when you're like, fuck, I'm improved. Like I'm better than I used to be. And it's a elusive, confusing, non-empirical. Like
it's true. Like, there's no metric for it.
Like there's probably could be a metric for it, but like you have to be very specific about what do you mean by improvement. But in my case, I meant something like ethereal. You know, I got better.
Well, like it's kind of cool in the sense of like I feel like one aspect of that could just be like simply confidence. It doesn't even mean that you're a better draftsman, but like confidence in your ability to like do a job. I feel like is pretty cool when you come out of an experience. Like for me personally, like having like I do a lot of different things. I'm not really good or like, you know, what's it called, the cream of the crop to any of those things that I do. It's like a jack of all trades things. But the fact that like I built up a confidence to know that, okay, if I'm faced with a problem that I don't know how to do, I'll figure it out. I'll do something to figure out. And the solution might be shit. Like, I'm not going to say it's a good solution. But, like, I have confidence in my abilities to solve that problem. When it comes specifically to making games and, like, my role as, like, a 3D artist in that context, right? So I feel like that confidence is really cool. And I feel like that I've seen you actually get that through your...
I feel like that's the only way you get confidence is that you just do the work and
you do a thing and then you survive.
And you survive,
and you're like, bro, I survived.
I always actually managed to do it, but then your confidence like fluctuates. It's like you just did the thing, but then you don't know if you can do this thing or next thing and so forth. So it's like it's motivated to, I feel like, just continuously being exposed to different experiences and just kind of maybe not necessarily succeeding, but like facing them. Sarah, we kind of completely derailed on the topic. What's the differences between European and American culture, right?
We talked a little bit about the things.
Because it's like
maybe we can do like a little summary, I guess. Of
because like what is it for you? Because for you it's such a different experience because you kind of like a one foot in, one foot out kind of situation.
Well, I'm also not working for. I've never worked for a European company.
Exactly. So for you, it's like, but you kind of live in Europe.
I see what you mean. Yeah.
But you work by American / Canadian kind of standards.
Yep.
While I experience both here, like and there, obviously, right?
Yeah.
So for you, it's like a completely different experience for you, like.
Yeah, it's kind of half and half. I don't know, but for me, it's been great. I don't know, cause like, I feel like the environment in work culture is an environment that I really thrive in, where like it's like that, like you said, pressure cooker. Like I'm not gonna lie, like I've had especially when it first started. Oh my god, bro, I was so fucking stressed out, to the max, 200,000%. But like once I finally got my bearings and kind of got my feet to stand on, I'm like, oh, this is so cool, right?
Yeah. Because
you're just growing and you're like learning so much crap, like like at an insane rate, which is awesome. So I feel like so because I'm so assimilated, or not assimilated, but like because my sort of personality really matches that work culture, I really thrive and I'm really enjoying that. But I also love traveling. So it's kind of been like a perfect balance of like having still that like crackhead energy of like North America, like gotta grow, I gotta get good, get good.
Because I noticed like I cannot sustain this like crackhead energy for a long period of time. I really enjoy it from time to time. Yeah. But like as a work environment, like honestly I kind of like Europe in a sense. You finish this thing,
it makes sense,
and then you just like you go home and
curious
you do your
to
own
try it.
You do your own thing. Like if you want to draw. If you don't want to draw, abandon all that shit. I don't know, go do climbing or something. Do other activities. And so for me, it's a question about like what's most conducive to a long like a great artistic career. And like
I just feel like mental health is probably Europe. I feel like people are more balanced here, like people are just more like, I don't know, just more like chill in the sense of like not like yo dude, but like chill in the sense of like life is okay, I'm okay, like
because it's like even like the idea that I want to like make 200,000 300 as much money as I possibly can, like constantly pushing that limit is like really lacks in people here. Like I didn't see a lot of people who were like this. Everyone was just I would just want to make enough to be okay, and I don't care about anything else.
It's true.
Because I just want to get to the state of my career where I have continuous job in my industry, and then like I don't give a shit. Like I want to just live my life, which could be like how majority of people feel in Canada as well. Yeah, which I think is obviously normal because I think everyone kind of wants that, right?
I feel like,
as an artist, right? But at the same time, I feel like that energy of like of a pressure cooker in Canada is that it kind of almost forces people to have this a little bit of a like kind of hustle mentality in a weird way. And so if you like, unless you like really reject this, where you go, no, I'm not gonna do this, then it's really hard to like avoid it or not at least be partially influenced.
Of course, because that's the environment you're surrounded by, and no matter what, if even if like you really want to reject it, you're still gonna absorb that, because that's you spend most of your day fucking working, most of your life working, right? So 40 hours a week you're at the job, you're gonna absorb that mentality a little bit, that sort of thing. So I think it's really interesting.
But it stems from like different, I guess, like the social systems that here for how the work environment is created, like and structured for the workers, what's the laws like, and like taxation and like in general idea what is work supposed to look like is quite different. And it's like very interesting to observe this and see that it's also could be viewed in different ways. And I feel like that experience of being like, the work doesn't have to be like this. Work could be like this is very cool, like one of the biggest, most interesting like experiences, because you like, okay, what do I prefer? What is important for me? And like, because maybe I don't give a shit about like drawn to that degree. I don't want to be like top artist. I just want to have enough to like live my life and support my family. Like maybe family is for me more important. And like I feel like here you can actually like figure it out in a weird way, you know, because you have that time and ability.
Because you time, I think the biggest thing is the time. Again, the balance just exists here way more, or there's like more, I don't know, the way the system's set up in general, like the whole like economic social system supports that. So
it's really weird,
but it's cool. I definitely, I don't know. I feel like having this is like repeating the same thing from the last video, but if you have the opportunity to travel and especially work in another culture, just to experience, even if it's worse, it kind of sucks, but just to experience the contrast of like what it's like, that you don't have to live your life that way that you kind of grew up in. And that's like a really obvious statement, but for me, like I didn't, like I kind of understood that concept like being in Canada, but having actually then traveled, it's like a whole different understanding of what that means to you. Because I feel like I'm definitely somebody that was like grew up, was like motivated just by, you know, being like trying to be the best and get as much money as possible, work as many jobs, as many hours, and just grinding as hard as you can. And that's the kind of work culture that I come from, like family and everything. Like, and so that was like my mindset. Like, I've got to work until I die, and I got to get my, you know, house and dogs and car and pool. Like, you know, and I just like, that's it. That's the goals in life or whatever. Then like after...
Oh no, those degen Europeans.
yeah, exactly. Shucks. But after having lived here in various places, so we lived in Portugal, Spain, France a little bit, and then here, Finland, it's like, actually, why? Like, why do I want all those things? And are those things actually important to me? Or is that just more so because of the...
Yeah, my coworker didn't understand the concept of credit cards. She understood it, but she was like, why do you have like so many? Or like, why do you even use credit cards? I'm like,
what? But your credit. You got to build up credit.
Yeah. What's a credit? So I'm like, what?
It's such a different life, which is so cool, right?
Yeah, and she comes from France, so it's like, I don't know how the system works. Maybe it's her specifically, her family, but I'm like, what do you mean you don't have like 2 different credit cards?
Right? It's just crazy because like a whole system is like built on building up credit and then, you know, buying a house or something. That's exactly. But so it's so cool, you know, being able to like kind of smash like your beliefs and worldview. That sounds really scary. It is kind of scary, but to be opened up to a whole new experience, that now you have the opportunity to live a different way, which is like, I don't have to work until I die. Like, I mean, you're still gonna work, but like a different. It's just like a different sort of attitude towards work, I guess, is the biggest thing, right? Like, I don't know, and it's pretty cool. So
definitely. Well, I guess it was really incoherent.
Yeah, this one was definitely all over the place.
Yeah, we were just like.
But he bought mics, which is cool, right?
Oh yeah, so maybe you finally be able to hear us, Mom. So, but and I blame the rain and mogginess. Maybe I need to eat. I'm just like, what's the difference between Europe and Canada? I don't know.
But like the cool thing is like with these videos, they're gonna keep changing, and I feel like our opinions on those things are gonna keep changing.
100%.
So I feel like we always have to say disclaimers. Like, again, we don't know shit. Like, we're just talking
out of our
asses about just like.
Yeah, it's mostly like our experience to date.
Yeah, to right now. So I feel like to like give it a couple more years, and we've lived. So to give also a little bit of context, we lived in Finland for. Not years, it's kind of on and off for like a year, let's say, or a year and a bit, year and a half.
Like a year.
Yeah, and then previous to that, we lived in Portugal for about 4 months.
3 months.
3 months?
Yeah.
Okay. So give or take 2 years of like living on and off in Europe and then going back to Canada.
Yeah.
So to just sort of, kind of sum it up. And maybe, who knows if we're going to go back to Canada, live there, or like live in Europe for forever.
I actually talked to some of our friends who like work in industry, like in China.
Yeah, in China.
or in States. Or like,
who's working in the States? Oh,
no, never mind.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we know a couple people who work in the
Yeah,
States.
yeah. We do,
But for like, I don't know, is Ray working in Australia?
Well, she's freelancing.
Oh, so I'm curious how it's like different countries kind of feel in terms of this industry, and so it's like because I feel like if there is such a drastic difference between here and let's say Canada, like it has to be super different, like
Yeah.
in different countries, like other than Europe, let's say, in Canada, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so it's cool. Yeah, we might bring people on. We'll see.
Yeah,
Yes.
we gotta bring some people to talk to.
Yeah.
Otherwise, people apparently we talk our own language. People, my mama doesn't understand what we're talking about. But
I
yeah,
don't know. Just we'll make so many videos that people will start understanding our weird idiosyncrasies.
Idiosyncrasies. We spend too much time together, so like
Become
nobody
one-
understands. Blah, blah,
Oh
blah,
yeah,
blah.
yeah. One brain.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Thanks for watching. Bye bye.